Hello everyone. Let's talk about Jenkins version control system integration. Now, we do have our code already present there in version control system, Git or GitHub or Bitbucket in that context. Now, when the code is present there in our version control system, now it's the job of the CI/CD tool to drive it to take the code from version control system and then to trigger further stages in pipeline. These triggers can happen in two ways. One is by using poll SCM, and another way is by using webhook trigger. What poll SCM is, what webhook trigger is, we are going to talk about it and we are going to see it in our demo also. So in order to begin with, the first thing which we will do is we will install Jenkins. That will be step one. So I'm going to install Jenkins. In order to install Jenkins, I'm going to take help from Jenkins, from the code content or from the commands which is present there in Jenkins official website, which is jenkins.io. And then I'll create the configuration by means of which polling will happen from Git and Jenkins pipeline will be triggered. That will be step one. And step two will be to have Jenkins pipeline triggered by using webhook. So both the stages, both the steps we are going to see. So let's begin with installation of Jenkins first, then we will talk about other steps. And while setting up Git poll SCM Jenkins connectivity or configuration, I'm going to explain what poll SCM is. So please stay with me till the end of this video. So now first start with Jenkins installation. Now as we know, Jenkins is one of the widely used CI/CD tool in market now, but it is completely based out of Java. So in order for Jenkins to work properly, in order to Jenkins to get installed even, we need to have Java installed in a virtual machine. We do have a Ubuntu virtual machine, and I'm going to install Java by using this command. Now let's install Java. So yes, I'm installing Java with open source version of Java for now. Once Java gets installed, post that we will go to jenkins.io website and we will look for the command which is needed for Jenkins installation. Now Java is installed. In order to check which version of Java is there, I'll just execute the command java-v, or I think it's not considering capital J, it's a typo error. So java-v. It says that Java version which is present as of now is the open source version, and the version is 11.0.21. So this is the Java version which is present, which is installed in my machine as of now. Now Java is installed. Next step will be to install Jenkins. In order to install Jenkins, we do have Jenkins official website, jenkins.io, and all the commands are present in this website. So I'm going to copy all these commands and going to execute all these commands together so that it will help me in installing Jenkins in no time. Yes, it's asking for the prompt. Let's provide the response to the prompt with a Y. And as it is provided, it gradually install Jenkins in my virtual machine, which is Ubuntu in this case. We do have different set of commands for different operating system, and all the command is present there in our Jenkins official website itself. So you can go to various operating system. You can choose the type of your operating system in Jenkins official website and get Jenkins installed. You just scroll down to look for other versions. Fedora, we do have commands for Fedora as well. We do have command for CentOS or Red Hat operating system as well, which is Red Hat stable yum repository. By using yum repository, we are going to install in Red Hat or CentOS operating system. And now Jenkins is installed. In order to check whether Jenkins is installed or not, the command would be systemctl status Jenkins. Everything should be running. In case if nothing runs, then it shows that Jenkins is not installed. But as of now, everything is active and running. This basically means that Jenkins is installed in my operating system, in my virtual machine. So it's good for now. Now, next step will be to establish connectivity or to log in into Jenkins. As we know, Jenkins is a CI/CD tool and Jenkins has a user interface. Jenkins is a web-based tool. It's not a command line tool. So in order to log into Jenkins, we take public IP address of virtual machine where Jenkins is installed, and Jenkins is available on port 8080. So as I type IP address colon 8080, it's going to take me to login page of Jenkins, but it's looking for initial administrator password. Initial administration password is present at this specific path in my virtual machine. So I'm going to copy this path. And as I copy this path, I'll go to my virtual machine and I'll just cat to display the content of this path. And it says that this is the initial admin password to login. Next is just to copy the path, content of the path, and paste it at the section where it looks for administrator password. Next is to hit continue. As we hit continue, it's going to take me to a window where it says that you can customize Jenkins by installing suggested plugins or by selecting plugin of your choice. Now, I'm going to select the option to install suggested plugin. As I hit on install suggested plugin, it's going to install all the default and suggested plugin which is needed for Jenkins to work at a basic level. For now, we just need these basic plugins to be present for Jenkins to work. These basic plugins are Git plugin that we need specifically because we are going to use Git or GitHub as our version control system to integrate with Jenkins. Once that completes, once the suggested plugin installation completes, post that this window pops up which asks for username, password, and it asks to confirm the password. Post that it looks for a full name and email address. For now, I'm just going to use admin as the username, password as any password, and I'm going to confirm the password, username also admin, and email as well going to use as admin@example.com. So I'm just going to create one user which is with the name admin, which will have privileges, which will have admin privileges on Jenkins dashboard, Jenkins UI as of now. Now you save and continue. As you save and continue, it says that the Jenkins URL is going to be this. So I'm going to copy this because this I'll be using while doing Jenkins webhook configuration. So I'm just going to copy this and I'll put it in my Jenkins webhook section so that while I'm configuring webhook, I'll be using this IP address, this complete URL. Save and finish. And as it says me to start using Jenkins, I'll click on the button so that it takes me to the page, which is the home page of Jenkins. Now, from this point of time, I can start using Jenkins. So now my first step is done, which is installation of Java. Installation of Jenkins is also done. And for this, I've used jenkins.io, which is home page of the which is the document present there in Jenkins official website. Next is to configure Git integration with Jenkins by using Pole SCM. Now, what Pole SCM is? Now, Jenkins connectivity with Git can happen in two ways. Let's understand Pole SCM, which is the first way for now. Our code as of now is present there in GitHub repository. This is my GitHub repository whose master branch contains all my code. So these all are my codes. Consider the Jenkins sample.html, Jenkins sample webhook.html, sample Capartech file.html, readme.md. So these are certain sample code which is present there in my GitHub version control system as of now. Now, connectivity of Jenkins with Git will happen by using a polling mechanism in which Jenkins will try to reach out to GitHub and will look for updated code in this repository. Now, my GitHub can have wide list of repository, can have n number of repositories, but my Jenkins, I'll have to do the configuration in Jenkins by means of which Jenkins will come and look for any update in this specific repository only. Now, this repository, which is Zapatec DevOps demo, will be known by using its URL, HTTPS URL, because Jenkins is a web-based tool. It understands the GitHub URL or the identity of a repository will be known to Jenkins by using a repository URL only, which is this, the one which is highlighted as of now. And Jenkins will get to know about any updates in the repository by looking into the commit ID. As you can see, the last commit which is done in this repository is approximately considered that 16 minutes ago. Now, in case if I do another commit ID will be updated with the latest commit ID, and even the time will shorten from say 16 minutes to a few seconds because the commit will be immediate. We are going to see that in few minutes in our demo too. But poll SCM basically implies a polling which is done from Jenkins in order to recognize any latest commit which is done in GitHub repository. The repository is recognized by using repository URL, and any change in this repository is recognized by using this commit ID. And we are going to see that. So now, in order to set up GitHub poll SCM configuration in Jenkins, we are going to create our first job. In order to create first job, at the left side, you can see new item. So hit on new item and this will open this page. Here, I'm going to name the job as GitHub Jenkins poll SCM. This is the name of my job. Let it be a freestyle job for now. And as you hit OK, it's going to open one window for you. Now in this window, you have to first identify your repository. My version control system is Git in this case, and the repository will be identified by using a repository URL. In order to get the repository URL, you go back to the repository and copy the repository URL from this section. Now this is copied. I'll get back to my Jenkins and paste repository URL. And repository URL is recognized for now. The changes will be done in master branch only, and that is what our branch is. As you can see, master branch. Henceforth, I'm not going to change the branch specifier for now. I'll scroll down and look for build triggers, which basically says that how build will be triggered. So build will be triggered by using the last option for now, which is poll SCM. As you can see, poll SCM. So now what poll SCM is, in order to check for the poll SCM, if you just hover on the question mark symbol, you will get to know that when you choose poll SCM, you have to provide a schedule. Now, as I explained, in poll SCM, Jenkins is going to poll for latest update in specified repository, which will be known by using repository URL. The polling will happen at certain regular interval, and the schedule for that regular interval has to be put in this specific box. It's a kind of cron job. The cron job, which will lead this Jenkins job to go and perform the poll. As of now, I'll just put the polling interval as 1 minute, and by putting the polling interval as 1 minute, I'll enable this Jenkins job to check for any update in GitHub every minute. And in order to do that, I'll set the scheduler to look for any updates for a minute, like this way. If you'll click on this question mark, this will give you lots of details about how to set this cron job, and you do have examples also. For now, I just set it for polling to happen every minute. I just set it. I just need to scroll down and I'll go to the bottom, and there I do have an option to save and apply. I'll hit on save, and as I hit on save, my job is ready now. Now let's wait for a few seconds for polling to happen. Now you see, I did not start the job. The job is starting on its own, and it's trying to pull the code from GitHub repository. I did not put any instruction as such for this job, but if I go to the console output for this job, it says that the job is started by SCM change. That basically means that the job started by some change which happened therein. Source code management. Since this was for the first time Jenkins got integrated with GitHub, it thought that the code or the commit ID which is present there in GitHub is the latest one and have pulled that commit ID to Jenkins. Now Jenkins is already aware of this commit ID. Now, even though the polling interval is set as 1 minute, since there is no change in version control system, no more job runs. Now, if we get down, we will see that the checkout happens to this and this and this. So basically, this all talks about the commit ID, which is 0B6CA6E7, and even the Jenkins console says quite the same thing. Now, first job completed. The first job completed as 6:31 p.m., which is local time of Jenkins server. Basically, is a virtual machine where Jenkins is installed. Now, this is the virtual machine where Jenkins is installed. And if I check for the current time, it says that the current time is 6:32 and 40 seconds. The last job ran at 6:31. Ideally, by 6:32, it should run, or at max at the end of 6:32, it should run. Let's see. Let's wait for time to reach to 6:33 even. And now you see the time is 6:33:02, but the job did not run. Why it did not run? It did not run because there is no update in version control system as of now. Henceforth, Jenkins, even though is polling GitHub, but is not triggering the job as there is no update in version control system for now. Now let's perform update in version control system. In order to perform update in version control system, we come to our CLI, and in our CLI, we just create any file. So let's create a file which is with the name Jenkins job trigger with poll scm.html. I'm creating one file. Now I'll just write some sample HTML code. This job is to test poll SCM feature of Jenkins, and I will just save and come out of it. Now I have created this file. As of now, I did not push this file to my version control system. Henceforth, even though if I come to my version control system, I should not be able to find the file. Also, the last commit says that it happened approximately 24 minutes ago. Now, again, I'll go back to my CLI and I will perform a push. And as I will perform the push, I'll put some message also. Jenkins poll SCM. And after this, I'll push it in the branch master because I said to Jenkins that the update will happen or the polling will happen only by checking updates in master branch. And that is why I'm pushing specifically to master branch. And as I do that, as I get back to my version control system, it says that the latest commit ID is commit happened nearly 6 seconds ago. And as you can see now, even the commit ID got changed and it says now, not 24 minutes, right? So this is the current commit ID. Now, if I go back to my Jenkins, if I refresh the page, as of now, polling did not happen. Hence, a new job did not trigger. The polling will happen from exactly its own time. And as the polling happens, it will find a new commit ID like the way you can see now. It found a new commit ID there in version control system and it triggered. So next trigger after the first one happened only after the new commit was found in GitHub repository. This kind of this kind of integration in between Git and Jenkins is called poll SCM, wherein polling happens by Jenkins and Jenkins fetches updated code in version control system by looking into the commit ID of specific branch. Next feature will be Git webhook Jenkins connectivity. So this part is also done. Git poll SCM Jenkins connectivity part is done. Now we are going to move into our next step, which is Git webhook Jenkins connectivity. Now in this case, you have seen couple of things. The first thing which you have seen is even though you have updated the code, Jenkins job waited for polling to happen. Before polling, Jenkins job did not trigger, even though the code was updated. Now, in this case, I had set the polling interval as 1 minute, but in real time, the polling interval could be 30 minutes, 1 hour, more than 1 hour even. So, in that case, even though being a developer, you have updated the code, Jenkins job will not trigger for next 1 hour or say for next 2 hours till the time polling interval did not hit. That is the reason wherein Jenkins developers thought to have another mechanism of job trigger. That mechanism is called Git webhook Jenkins method, by means of which Jenkins job triggers automatically as any update is done in version control system in Git, GitHub, Bitbucket, any of the version control system which you are using, as Jenkins works equally good with any of the version control system which you can use for now. So in Git, GitHub, or in Git webhook, in Git Jenkins webhook configuration, we are going to share a token from Jenkins. That token will provide a authentication to Git to trigger Jenkins as any new push, as any new commit, as any update happens in Jenkins repository. Now, as we can understand, webhook trigger is repository specific. As even I said before, my Jenkins account can have n number of repositories, but I want one job to trigger only when some update happens in one specific repository. Hence, I'll have to do configuration only for that specific repository whose update will trigger Jenkins job. So, in order to do that, first I have to pull a token from Jenkins. In order to pull a token from Jenkins, I'll have to look for the drop down, which is just below the user. So as you can see, the user which I do have is admin as of now. Beside admin, you can see a drop down. As you click on drop down, you can see an option to which we see as configure. I'll open this option in another tab, and there I can see something to which I call as API token. Now, I'm going to click on add new token and give a name to it. So I'll say get webhook and generate the token. So it has generated the token, and this token is generated only for once. So ensure you save this token as it gets generated. So now I'm going to save it. Now, I had copied this link even before, and I said you that we are going to use this while configuring Git webhook. So I'm going to use this for now. Now, I'll go to my version control system. Now, since the webhook has to be specific to the repository whose update will trigger the Jenkins job. Now, this is the repository. Capartech DevOps demo is the repository in which any update should trigger Jenkins job. So I'm going to look for the option of webhook in settings section of this repository. So click on settings. As we click on settings, at the left side, I can see something called webhooks. So now click on webhooks and add webhook. As I click on add webhook, it looks for a payload URL. Now I provide the Jenkins URL followed by GitHub hyphen webhook as an option and secret as is the token which I already generated in Jenkins. Copy this token and paste in secret section. Now I'm going to choose the option send me everything and click on add webhook. So I'm just going to repeat this because this is quite the essential section. I have to paste Jenkins IP address colon 8080, which is nothing but Jenkins URL slash GitHub hyphen webhook slash under secret section content type. I'm not going to touch, it remains as such. Under secret, I'm going to paste the API token which I generated in Jenkins. I'm going to choose the option as send me everything. And last will be to click on add webhook button. As I click on add webhook button and refresh the page, it should turn green. If it turns green, it says that last delivery was successful. That basically means that connectivity already happened in between Git and Jenkins. But as of now, after connectivity happened in between Git and Jenkins, I did not set up any job or I did not perform any push there in GitHub. Now let's create another job. So this job was for Polyscium. Now let's create another job, which is GitHub Jenkins webhook job. Again, let's choose freestyle project as an option. In my another videos, I'll be choosing pipeline option also to explain Groovy script, which is needed for Jenkins for some other advanced integration with Docker, with Ansible, and with Kubernetes. In case if you are interested in that, please put that in comment section below so that I can work on it. Now, as I hit OK, it will create a job. Now, again, let's go to the source code management section, choose Git as an option. And here, let's choose the IP address of my repository or URL of my GitHub repository and put in here, which is repository URL. Not going to make any changes because it will be master branch only where I'm going to perform the push. And this time, I'm not going to choose poll SCM as an option. This time, I will choose GitHub hook trigger for Git SCM polling as an option. Now, this does not require any polling, as you can see. Here, I did not provide any timestamp. Here, the run of job will depend on push, which will happen to version control system. So no polling happens. Jenkins never reaches out to GitHub. In this case, GitHub will reach out to Jenkins and the authentication to Jenkins will be granted by using API token, which we updated in Git SCM, Git webhook configuration in version control system GitHub itself. And this time I'm going to save this. As I save this, the job is ready. But this job is not going to run. It's not going to run because as of now, GitHub did not trigger Jenkins job. So GitHub is going to trigger the Jenkins job only and only when there is some update there in GitHub. Otherwise, GitHub will not trigger the job. Doesn't matter how long we are going to wait, GitHub will not trigger the job. So let's make some changes there in GitHub repository. As of now, my GitHub repository's last commit happened approximately 10 minutes ago. As you can see, last commit, which is with the commit ID ffdb00d, this commit happened 10 minutes ago. Let's do a latest commit and let's get back to our Jenkins job and refresh the page to verify in case any job ran, which I can see nothing as it says no bills. Now I'm going back to my command line and will perform a push to version control system. In order to do that, I'll create a file which is Jenkins webhook file.html, and here I'll write one sample HTML code which says that this is to test Jenkins webhook trigger, and let's close this header, save the file, come out of it. I'm going to add this to my staging area. Then I'll commit this with the message Jenkins webhook. And next is to push it origin master. I just want to show you again before I make any push. I'll refresh GitHub and I'll see the last push happened 11 minutes ago. Same commit ID ffdb. I'll go to Jenkins once again. No bills as of now. Now I'm going to make a push. Push happened. As I will go to my GitHub repository and as I will refresh this, it says that 7 seconds ago last push happened. Even the commit ID changed and it says now. As I'll go to Jenkins and as I will refresh the page, you see job is triggered. A job ran this time. And now if I go to console output, it says that started by GitHub push by DevOps ENG129, which is my user ID. Now, this completes the webhook trigger event, wherein a push to GitHub triggers a job there in Jenkins. With this, we complete all the contents agenda of this discussion. Thank you for watching this video. Please provide your comments and let me know how did you like this session. And in case if you liked it, please subscribe my channel and like this video. Thank you everyone for watching.